Welcome everyone to another episode of Ripping On. Tonight's ripping will be on Arcane, the League of Legends miniseries. So let's hop right into it. I don't really mind like the beginning being like a little war-torn battle between two factions and all that kind of stuff. But my question is, why would the kids be walking through that area? Like, why? I get it that you want to make sure that they understand that you know their parents were killed and everything, but I mean, you know, a little bit on the let's go for the jugular when it comes to emotional torture and blackmail and all that kind of shit. So yeah. So far I'm not too bothered by the backstory for the characters and everything, how they're introduced. I'm not too bothered with. But yeah, animation seems to be spot on. Pretty good. So far the story's pretty bland and I'm not really that interested, but I'll keep going because it seems interesting enough for me to give it a shot. So basically, we're introduced to the bad guy at the end, and it seems all right. Like I don't know, the whole entire let's use a drug thing to ramp up the aggressiveness, and it seemed almost as if it mutated the poor little mouse. I'm like, okay, okay, it isn't so bad. But for the first episode, eh, I'm not really digging it all that much. But like I said, the animation is pretty spot on. The fight scene that they had was pretty cool, so it seems like there is a potential. So I'm gonna keep going. So this was all right for the initial first episode, so I'm okay with it. So I finished the second episode. Was pretty boring. There was not enough information on the hierarchy of how the society works or how the houses work properly. It's just saying like these guys are important, and the mere fact that they were able to just bail on Jace just like that, like the family who represented him or whatever, I found that was kind of like just kind of boring. Like, okay, they couldn't have a backbone or anything other than just like making that small little statement. Like that's it, that's all. Other than that, the second episode was pretty blah, almost not interesting. So yeah, but I'll keep going. I was told it was good, so I'm gonna keep going and see where it leads me. So I have issues with the fact that the like Vi end up seeing um I don't know the second in charge get slaughtered and her adopted dad gets taken. So why wouldn't they go to like other people to get help? And why would they just run off and think that they can just save them by themselves? I question the reasoning behind some of the choices they make when it comes to making certain decisions in television series and all that kind of stuff. I get it; it's to progress the story and all that kind of stuff, but still, like, why would children think that they can handle something like this just like that? Anyways, let's keep going. So one of the bad guy takes I guess, the drug or whatever, which makes him super aggressive, super violent, and everything. He's pretty much killed everything in his path. And yet, when it comes to the main character, Vi, he just grabs her by the neck and chokes her out instead of just snapping her neck right there on the spot. Like, yet again, decision making when it comes to this stuff. Like, a pretty stupid scene where basically she loses her adoptive dad, and then all of a sudden she jumps into the arms of another person just like that. Like why? Like that just doesn't make any sense. She just gets into a fight with his sister, and then all of a sudden she jumps into the arms of another person and says that she doesn't have a sister anymore. Like it's so idiotic. Like it doesn't. It makes no sense why they would just go with that. But okay, whatever. So the fourth episode, pretty much, I watched it in one shot, and it comes off as pretty boring. It's not really to my liking. There's not enough information yet again on how the system works, how the government works, and all that kind of stuff, how the houses work. But yet there's always this friction between both sides, like the higher ups and the lowers. Like you might want to explain a little better on how that functions and why it got that way, but nope, none of that information is given to us. So it's just basically you have to accept whatever they say is the reason why they hate each other and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, not really buying it, but that's pretty much episode 4 for you. Hmm. So episode 5 comes off as another boring episode. I'm not fond of the idea of them using sex to manipulate Jace into whatever. Like, they could have used so many other tactics. It could have been so much better. So far, I have to admit, up until episode 5, like, it seems like it's not very entertaining. It's not very captivating. I, I have to admit that the animation is good and everything, but the story seems kind of like flimsy. It's pretty weak, even though it is coming from a video game. But like I said, like Werewolves Within was able to make a great movie out of a video game. I don't see why they can't do the same here. But I mean, I still have 4 more episodes to go, and I think it could get better. So let's put some faith in them, maybe. So in episode 6, it starts to accelerate more to my liking. There's a little more information given on the sisters and all that kind of stuff, and the interaction between Caitlyn and Vi. All that stuff is pretty cool. I'm not disappointed by this episode, so that's pretty good. Uh, yeah. So far, episode 6 pretty reasonable, pretty good. More to my liking. It's a little more fast paced. There's a little more conflicts happening, so it's pretty good. Yet again, number 7 is a pretty good episode. It's got a good deal of information in it and all that kind of stuff. It shows the kind of mental break that Jinx is going through and all that kind of stuff. And it has a really great fight scene between Echo and what's her name, Jinx. So really, number 7 was reasonably pleasing, visually pleasing too. As for the story, still flimsy, but still a pretty good episode. So yeah. Hmm. So episode 8 is not bad. It's pretty good. It's pretty reasonable. As for the whole entire Jace killing a kid by accident, I mean, what did he expect would happen if you go into what do you call it, a work den where there's mostly kids? Like, come on, you can't be attacking the enemy and then all of a sudden turn around when you accidentally cause the death of someone. Like, okay, get over it fairly quickly. you know, Kind of sucks that they used that to kind of change the course of what could have potentially happened. Sorry. But yeah. Other than that, the episode is pretty reasonable, enjoyable. It's good to look at. Yeah. So basically, episode 10 ends with a pretty intense ending. It shows that Jinx is the reason for the fight between the uppers and the lowers and all that kind of stuff. Um, Personally, I don't think the way they portrayed her way, like her snapping, like her mental or her psyche snapping into Jinx, I don't think it wasn't really a big deal all of a sudden. But anyways, who am I to be judging how they want to write their character and how they do their thing? But in the long run, yeah, episode 10 was all right. It ended fairly good. I'm not sure how many seasons they're gonna do, but for the first part, this is actually pretty good. So we'll hop into the judgment and all that kind of stuff in a second. Okay, so basically, the whole series itself isn't that great. Personally, I found the first 5 episodes to be pretty boring. Then it starts ramping up around 6, more to my liking. Uh, but other than that, like all that pre stuff was pretty useless, and you can explain it within like one episode. It could have been done in like one episode, and that would have made more sense. Um, Art style and everything was pretty spot on. I'm pretty impressed with how they create the style for it, and it was pretty good. Graphics were good. Uh, I have no issues with the visuals when it comes to the movie, but the story is where I have a lot of issues. It was pretty drab. It wasn't really exciting. Uh, but all in all, I would say it's an unreasonable a reasonable miniseries. So my overall rating for this would be a six, 6.5 on 10. Uh, so yeah, I'm assuming the general public might give this thing like a 8, 9 maybe, because it's League of Legends. So all those League of Legends fans would probably be like, "Woo!" They'd probably go wild for this shit. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be biased to anything that's League of Legends. So yeah. So overall, I don't. I'm not. It's not something I'd recommend. But if it's something you want to watch and that's visually appealing to you, then yeah, definitely go for this. But other than that, the story, not the best story in the world. But they could have done better. And most likely, I'm more interested in seeing what they do for the next little part or the next season. But yeah, yeah. So that's my verdict. So the next movie I'll probably be looking at will be what is it? The new James Bond movie. Once I get an opportunity to check the name, but I think it's like Time to Die. That's it. Anyways, so I'll be checking that one out. I will see you guys on the next one.